Hello, unstoppable real estate investors. I'm Rayanna Starr, your host. Hold on. I've got to correct something here. Let me change my background. There we go. I am the hostess of the Unstoppable Real Estate Investor Podcast. We have 2 episodes a week, every single week. On Wednesdays, we talk to the superstars in the industry. And on Fridays, we do a member spotlight on up-and-coming rock stars and people that are on the journey and learning and evolving and hearing their story because the struggle is real. We also have not a podcast, but a live that Rufus Thibodeau and I do on Mondays called Mindset and Marketing Mondays at 6 p.m. Eastern. So please join us. If you're watching this in another real estate investment group, please feel free to come find us and join our community. We're a fun and friendly tribe, the Unstoppable Real Estate Investor Facebook group. Welcome, Sevealyn. I'm so excited you accepted my invitation to join the podcast.
Well, thank you, Rayanna. It's wonderful to be on, and I'm so excited to be a part of Unstoppable Real Estate Investors.
So I'm just going to pull the group up on my cell so I can just see who's here and say hi to them. I know you're going to be drawing a crowd, that you have a lot of friends. You did a little promotion. Right now, we've got Wesley Watson, Tevin Gustav, and Stefan Mainhart. Stefan's kind of a regular, and I'm sure a bunch of your pals will be jumping on here in no time. So I'm curious, Sevealyn, I only know you as like the Fortune Builders Circle and Real Estate Investing Circle, but I'm curious, I don't know much about you before real estate. Rachel Naomi Exo just joined us, one of your pals. Okay. So give me a little background on what your professional life was pre-real estate investing.
Yes. Well, before real estate, I was in education. I was a teacher, professor, and administrator at a university here in North Carolina, at St. Augustine's University, and I was there 38 years.
Wow.
And my area of expertise was music. I was taught music, choral music, voice, and then ended up going into administration side. So I've done a little bit of everything. Sometimes you're in those types of positions where, you have different things that have to be done. And, in small universities and colleges, we have to do a lot of different things. And I love the kids, but most of all, the reason I did it and the passion was that I enjoyed being with students. I enjoyed engaging and working with students and giving them experiences that hopefully they can remember as they go through their life.
I love it. That's such a great background because it shows that you can learn new things. By the way, Rose Lopez is joining us from Italy. Rose, I'm wondering how it's going so far. You've had one day to overcome your jet lag, so today's the day you're going to get out there and start having fun. So I'm curious to hear how your trip in Italy is going, Rose. So, Sevealyn, how would you say having an education background has helped you with learning how to be a real estate investor?
Oh, it's one of those things where you understand how to learn. And one of the things I think everyone should know is that different teachers help you learn in different ways, from different perspectives. So being in real estate and being around a wonderful team of coaches, a wonderful team of fellow investors with different experiences is instrumental in me working to move that needle to help others, because that's really my mantra here, is to help others in the journey. But I really do. I'm very happy with this. And education, that's literally,
Talk
I-
about how important education.
let me
Yeah.
go back a little bit, because
Yes.
so at one point, like in every institution, in every business, there comes a time when they're saying, we might have to change things around. We may not be able to keep all these positions. So there was a point that was being discussed. And one of those positions I was in at that time was going to be one that's going to get cut. And so I was sitting, thinking, okay, I would love to retire earlier. And I said, what am I, what do I want to do? And then Merrill came on. And there's this information. And the thing that caught me was he talked about education. Now, I listened to quite a number of gurus who's talked about, look how many yachts I can buy and look how many houses I have. But no one, just to hear the term education and it over and over and over again. So I got really interested. And so I went to his one-day introduction here in Raleigh. And after I went to that, I went, I think I want that 3-day thing. So I went back and got on the 3-day. And I was sold. I was hooked. I really think, because I thought, okay, education, I'll learn how to do this. And I will have folks around me that's doing it. And a lot of money going out, but hey, I need to do this now. So I just went on and went in and joined the group. Did not end up moving out of the job. In fact, I ended up with about 2 other jobs. So,
wow.
So I'm one of those, and I'll tell you, as we talk, you'll probably learn a little more about what happens. I figured out the type
Just keep telling your story. Yeah, like how that education helped you, what's been your journey up to today in learning, but also what your deals, what you've been doing as an investor. I know you're focused more on private money lending, and there's a specific area of that you're wanting to talk about. So just keep going.
So, yes. And so, when we begin to learn, sometimes we get stuck on learning, but you have to also get moved to application, and you have to take action.
Speaking my language now.
Yeah. And so I'm going to confess, some of this is testimony more than anything else, because initially I was so engaged in learning, and think, well, I need to learn more. And I know I've talked to other investors, we've had the same challenge with that, because I felt that I was inadequate, because that was not my field. I'd never done anything personally in doing real estate fix and flip, wholesaling, any of that. And so I spent too much time, to be honest, in trying to do the learning of all this information. But it's like drinking from a fire hose, because it's so much, and you have to pick and choose and determine what it is that you want to try first and second. So if anything, I'm just telling you all the mistakes I made, so hopefully no one else will make it.
All right, so let's zero in on, because that's what this call is, and I appreciate your candor and willingness to do that. Recall like a mistake that you learned from, and what you learned from it, and something that would maybe prevent some people from moving forward and taking action. Does something come to mind?
I would say getting over the fear of doing it. I mean, I think most people tend to have a fear because you've not done it. You are fearful, and you just put it off. You just, you say, well, I need to do this. I got to learn this. I got to do this.
So how did you
never move past that needle? And for me, I didn't really get started because I had to put a pin in my education with Fortune Builders to go back and do full-time work. So they were
Okay.
kind enough to, I put a pin in it and waited to do more coaching calls after, I came back to it. And I didn't come back until 2019, really. I retired in 2018. But again, I think one of the things that I was not as consistent. I wanted, when I decided to jump in, I don't think I didn't have all the systems in place that I needed to have at that point. I was jumped in. I went to one particular market and I was trying to give, put offers in. I was getting beat up because, I honestly, I don't think I had worked out my financial piece well enough to make that work. So I would go out with, hard money lender and this type of thing, trying to get deals. Well, you have others who also have money in the back, they've been doing it for a while. You can't outbid them. And so it was a very, I think my first year I put in 25, 30 offers.
In your first year?
The first 2019, I was in Fayetteville. I stayed in Fayetteville. I just said, I'm staying in there. I just got beat up because and that was the thing for me was I realized I didn't do well planning out the business finance.
Okay, so let's pause there for a second. Because there's some good points here you're making is there's a delicate balance between education and obtaining knowledge, and then actually going out there and overcoming your fear and realizing that you don't have to be perfect, that you're going to have to go out there and learn by doing.
Right.
Once you got out there and you started doing, it was then that you learned what was missing, the financing piece. When you got back to it in 2019, you felt like you were getting beat up, that you had put about 25 or 30 offers out for the entire year.
Yeah.
All right. So that right there is I want to use as an example. If you're only putting out 25 or 30 offers in an entire year, you're not making enough offers.
Correct.
You should be making 25 to 30 offers a month at minimum. Talk a little bit about that what was preventing you from making offers?
I think realizing that I was concerned about the money, of how I would follow through.
That was holding you back.
That was it, because when folks have homes they need to sell, and you're trying to make a bid on it, you want to be able to carry through, because it's in the long run, you're trying to help someone who's got a pain. And I hadn't gotten that part worked out as well. So and granted, yes, I went down. So I was working with an agent though, too. I was working through an agent, but I just went out there sort of like just jumping into deep water without having all the, my life stuff up and ready. So
I'm curious. Let me interrupt there for a second. Do you think, because your focus is more on private money lending, do you think that concern of yours is what led you to not only your private money lender, but you're also wanting to help more people with that piece?
Yes.
Led to that?
Yes, absolutely.
To talk about the shift, where the shift was for you.
The shift came when, one, I wanted to at least have some action that actually made a positive change. It can help. If I couldn't do anything, particularly for the homeowner, if I could just give a little bit of the money I may pull out of my 401, my TIAA CREF, as they call it, and put it over in a self-directed, and then do some small loans or whatever I can do to help investor get what they need. And if they're experienced, they can make and move more properties than I can. So that's what, that's
so you found that was a better niche for you to focus on.
Yeah. And also
I find that interesting, because the thing that was holding you back is the area you ended up being in, being the
Yes.
private money lender. So
Yes.
talk a little more about that and the mindset shift and what you started to do and what you're currently doing.
Okay, so I'm still working on lending. And by the way, I did go ahead, I decided I wanted to get a rental property. And so I do have a rental property and looking, hopefully can squad up, as they call it, and work with some others and see if we can find other properties. And
You've done some wholesaling too, haven't you?
I did wholesaling. And one of the other things that was the big light bulb for me is because, I would just mention to you before we went on is that at times I'm an introvert. It's a weird thing being a performer, but yet privately, I'm, more introvert person. But being able to work in a group, I really am more of a team player. And I hadn't quite gotten where I was being out there to be a part of the team. I was, I stood in the back.
You were going solo, and what was that?
Yeah.
What was that like?
It's not going to work. And so since I have been moving towards being in groups like your group and JJ's group and others, and beginning to meet people and working with people and talking and, at least getting there where we can sort of help and support each other more. I think that has been a game changer and a shift in how I feel, how I think. Okay. So this is my thing, team player.
Yeah, and that's a good point to bring up because there are a lot of introverts. If you're online watching us, just put in the chat if you're an introvert. And what I like about introverts is you are good one-on-one. And before we went live today, she said, I asked her, why did you accept my invitation to be on the podcast? And she said, well, it's time. I even though I'm a performer and I sing, speaking and being, on one-on-one and sharing is, I just know it's something I'm ready to take on, to get over that discomfort or that fear. And so I just want to acknowledge you for that. But this business works well for introverts because you're interacting with people one-on-one. And that's when introverts are at their best. And it's not superficial banter. You're having conversations that are for a reason. Talking to a lender, talking to a contractor, talking to a buyer, a seller, other real estate investors to build JV agreements. So I want to know what's your journey been like. And interesting that you're saying as an introvert, it wasn't working for you. And now being out there networking and moving out of your comfort zone and building relationships, what's next in that regard? What are you hoping to accomplish?
Well, what I hope to accomplish is literally something I had put in my basic business plan. The reason I was in this is because I wanted to work to help build financial independence for, others. I mean, I'm come from a large family. My mother's foster mother. So we had lots of kids, lots of things she had to do. She worked lots of jobs to help keep us going. But she taught us some things, and I felt like, ooh, this is time I can use this. One of the things she said is that you have to save. From the time we had a pacifier, a bottle, and a savings account. Okay, out the gate. Every child that came through our house has a savings account. And that was instilled. I said, okay, we were always saving. We just didn't go that next level where we used what we saved to build more wealth.
That mom was a wise woman.
She absolutely. And I hadn't gotten back to this, but actually she's the one who started the real estate thing because she kept adding on to our home. It went, and she added on, she literally was the project manager. So I was around it, but I wasn't taking much care. Okay, there's another room now, good, but I think over the years, I realized that she was the catalyst for me going into this. So thank you, Mom.
That's awesome. Is she not with us anymore?
No, she's gone on to glory, and
Okay.
she's, she was very influential. So when you think of real estate, you think of Yosef's mom, Edna, she did it all, down to land foundation to the whole 9 yards. So,
All right, that's great. So talk about what your focus is now. Like, give us a little, what's your experience been? What kind of deals have you done up to this point? And what is your focus as a real estate investor now?
So I did some work. I was looking, and I'm still looking more towards from the real estate side of wholesaling, helping in wholesaling, working with others and doing wholesale deals. And so I was kind of, Scott Jenkins kind of, we did a wholesale together in Atlanta. And then I've been working with a group here with wholesale. We have a group in Raleigh now, a Subto group that I work with. I'm a Subto wannabe, but we're working together. And I'm trying to work and build the relationships there so we can do some business here. The key thing is that I would love to be able to help moderate income families have homes, affordable homes. I would love to help families who are, what we call Section 8, move from Section 8 to be able to have a habitat home.
And how specifically do you want to help them? Do you have a plan you're working on?
Yeah, well, my goal is to working with investors that come with that are getting properties. If we can find properties in areas that would be good for, families. And I know some cities, Raleigh's talking about, what they're trying to do for affordable housing. Durham, I'm sure Charlotte has, and probably over where you are.
I'm in
Asheville has some things. That
there's a couple of organizations here that are very like Habitat for Humanity, and then there's another one, forget the name of it, that work to build affordable housing.
Called CASA or something that's around.
Yeah, this one starts with a P, and I always forget the name of it. But yeah.
So the goal is to when I get properties, there may be some that's going to be high end, but some that are going to be moderate, so families who can't afford that can have a home. But I want to be a teacher. Okay, I'm going to always be a teacher. So in that process, if we can work it, it's look, you have this opportunity, but let's talk about how you become financially sound. Okay. What are you doing? Sometimes we have to live, we all want to live like the Joneses, and being able to understand what can you afford and what can you not afford, and what's more important. So again, it's more of a style of the coaching of folks, and to get them to understand what they can do to better put themselves in financial Are you
aware of some of the lower income kinds of conventional lending, like there's what is it, NAFTA? That's not the right.
There's several different things. I've got I've got a list of folks, that work with them.
There's some great conventional loans for someone who's just wanting to buy a house for them to live in. There's also some loans for more rural areas for people who are deliberately fitting like in North Carolina, there's some really great loans for that. Specifically with regard to investors, what do you want to accomplish as a private money lender? And is that your niche, like mostly that, and you want to wholesaling?
Yeah, it is. And what I want to do is to build, there are so many teachers moderate income, what we considerably moderate income, to some that have funds that's just sitting. It's just, just
Not
sitting.
doing anything.
And
for
I
them.
want to recruit, I want to help get others into this mix because, we worked hard. We love what we do, but it would be lovely if they could start putting together a plan to become private money lenders, to use their money to build more money earlier than I did. And so my goal is to recruit other individuals who are interested in that. I've had a couple that, it takes a while to talk to them, to get them into it. But I've got a couple of folks that are already on board, but maybe the third one coming in. I don't mind. I'll work with anyone who wants to learn about being private lenders. I'll work with anyone who is having issues with how do we handle the finances, even the business. Because I've made all mistakes. I can tell you I can tell you a lot of the roadblocks now, or offer suggestions of where you can go to get assistance. And I took Tony Robbins' DISC test. And I found that my most important thing, I'm an assessor. So that means I look, I hear the problem, and then I research and find the answer, or I've already been through it and found the answer. And so with that in mind, that's something I want to use in order to help others. Now, I believe very much that if I'm helping others, things will be fine. I'm going to be just fine. So I want to work with others, help generate opportunities for growth of individuals that are, need help, help my fellow investors, in any way I can. I'm a paper pusher. I was also did a lot with assessments. So I'm a good box checker. I can make sure everything gets checked off, which, and that's what I do. That's the key thing. And so I will do that. I will do that.
Yeah, let me jump in here a second. For those of the folks that just joined us, Dwayne Kidman, Peggy Stevens, Lori Hollis have joined us, Brad Pettis, Rose Diocampo, my VA is here. Kathy Thornburg is here. She said she's looking forward to her call with you.
Yes.
And Rose is checked in from Italy. So Sevealyn has been an educator, but she also, her niche is, there's two niches she's got here that she's talking about. She's working with professionals that have retirement accounts that are underperforming and helping them see the opportunity to be a private money lender and helping them make that transition and how they leverage their retirement accounts. And then the other thing that's near and dear to her heart is finding the housing solutions and funding solutions for the working class and the people that are priced out of the housing market to ever own. She's wanting to find ways to help them find financing and be able to buy a house and make it affordable for them. Am I recapping about right there, Sevealyn?
You are.
Okay. And did you finally retire, or are you still working your job as an educator?
No. Oh, no, I retired the end of 2018, right?
Okay.
So, yeah, that's why I could stay in 2019 and do what's,
okay.
more.
All right. So I'm curious, is there any words of wisdom or a message that you would like to share about anything that we haven't covered yet? Like just a philosophy maybe that you have, or something that, an ask, like, who is it that you're wanting to connect with? Who is a perfect connection for you? Either someone you can help or someone that can help you.
So I'm looking to work, as I said, with the fellow investors, and those who, if you're having challenges, that we talk through it. At least I can get you to the right person. Of course, we got the right person on with us right now, so we've already.
Well, there's lots of people and
But there's
resources.
others, yeah. And there's and now I have been
The
able
community
to be
business.
Yeah. I got a list. I got a Rolodex, big one now. But I want to help those who are are trying to do these things. So for example, one of the things I do with Scott, and we're still working this, is cold calling. That's something, and if we begin to squat up, and I love what we do with once I learned about Pace and Jamil and
Subto, yeah, the evening dials and the morning.
that once I learned about them and along with Fortune Builders and all those things, the resources are there. We just need to learn how we use and how we come together to make the best of it. So make the best by squatting up, look at finances. I think one of the things we need to look at is how you share your resources. We can't work alone. And if you learn to share your resources so that we can do it and minimize the amount of money that's going out, that's key. So watch your finances, watch the finances. Make sure that you have an opportunity to work with others and team up so we can make success, so we can be successful. That's my piece.
So we're gonna lean into wrapping up.
Sure.
If you were standing up on a rooftop and you had a captive audience and they were eager to just hear anything you had to say and you could give them advice, what would that advice be? Squat up.
Yeah, squat up is one of the main things. And also the other thing is put people first. When we are working at something like this, and a lot of times I hear this, okay, and I have my thing. I want to see how much I want to make this much or do this much by this quarter. I want to do this much. I do believe that when I have put people first, that I have always achieved what I wanted to do. I did in school, school, teachers buy supplies. Okay, it's just honest. We have to buy a lot of stuff. But without a doubt, you gain so much more when you're putting the people first that you're trying to help.
And this, like you said earlier, and this comes up on every podcast pretty much, is you can't do this business alone. It's absolutely impossible. Yeah, it's a people business.
It is.
We may initially be competing for a deal, but in the end, it's a very collaborative business. People, we need to help each other. And it's very much a community-oriented business.
Exactly.
And so, Peggy's saying, count on me to share anything. Squat up with me. I totally agree that life is people first. Rose Lopez, great one, Sevealyn. So true. You have a fan base here. People first. Yes, amazing. So everyone's on board with that. Is there anything else we haven't covered that you'd like to say before we wrap up?
Well, I think we have talked about everything we need to. I would just say that now that we've done this, then, hit me up. Let's talk. I'm good one-on-one, just, I do a lot of that. So, but do go in, and I've got a calendar that gets linked all the time. You probably see it on all the Facebook pages. And so let's talk. Let's see how we can squat up, how we can do some things, or how we can pull a team together for a particular issue. Problem solving is what we do. That's the purpose of being in real estate. That's the purpose of raison d'etre, as far as I'm concerned. We want to solve a problem.
I love it. Well, so how do you feel about being on a podcast and being a speaker and being the center of attention? How do you feel how this went?
This was like being a one-on-one, and I'm good. I'm glad I was able to do it. I hope I've shared something that is useful to my fellow investors and anyone else that might hear it.
Well, you've had an enthusiastic response. Everybody's been loving you and just Sevealyn's put in the chat. Let's squad up. She's put her Calendly link in there. And Peggy invited a bunch of people to this event. Now what's going to happen, Sevealyn, is my VA Rose, who I think's your VA too, isn't she?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she is going to post this in, I don't know if we're over 100 groups. We're always joining real estate investment groups. So right now we're probably a little over 100 real estate investment groups that we post our podcast recordings in.
Right.
So that's going to get you some exposure.
Well, thank you. That's great.
All right, everybody. I so appreciate you joining me, Sevealyn. It's been such a treat.
Thank you, Rihanna. This has been just love it. Thank you so much for inviting me. And I'm so happy that I could come on and be with you.
Yeah, me too.
Be blessed.
So if you know of someone who is a superstar, they're supporting themselves as a real estate investor and doing well, please let me know in a DM or in the comments. And I'd love to invite them to be one of our top 5 percenters. The top 5 percenters are the people that are crushing it in real estate investing. It's a difficult industry. 95% of people who attempt to be real estate investors fail. So I feel like these podcasts are important to spread the word and the cheer and like, hey, the struggle is real, but success is possible. That's Wednesdays at noon Eastern. If you know someone who just needs a light shined on them, a little more exposure. We do a member spotlight, which what we're doing today on Fridays. And it's also an opportunity of someone's a bit of a newer investor and they just need a little guidance and coaching that can happen on the call too. So we're going from one extreme to the other. On Wednesdays, it's the superstars. And on Fridays, it's the up and comings. And then on Mondays, we have Rufus Thibodeau, who is a marketing copywriter for real estate investors. He and I meet at 6 p.m. Eastern on Mondays for Mindset and Marketing Mondays. He talks about marketing, I talk about mindset, and then we blur the lines and cross over into each other's lanes and have great discussions and have a great time. So if you're needing a mindset check or little tips on marketing, please join us on Mondays. A bunch of people are just saying, love your platform, Rihanna. Thanks, Daisy. We love your podcast, Rihanna. Thanks, Rachel. Hey, Debbie Hoover. So we've got some people interested. Please reach out if you know someone or you would like to be a guest on one of my podcasts. Thank you so much, Sevealyn. Everybody, take action. No excuses, just results. Have a fabulous weekend. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.